This is Adria. So, questions come up for some of us recently around interacting with people who have chosen to stay in third dimension. From the angelic perspective, there's no judgment against people who have made that choice. The question comes up if interacting with people who are in third dimension brings us down, those of us who have chosen to be in fifth or other dimensions. Is there a risk to that? Should we try to limit interactions with family and friends who are more dense in the density level of third dimension? Or do we bring our uplift to them? How does this work in terms of interchange with the different dimensions and what some have called two earths? This is Angel Raphael. Until you are quite strong in your own platform, dimensional platform, it's important to witness the effect that other people in your life have upon you, or the effect that you have upon them. And this is not a game of better than. So let's say you have a dear friend who has chosen third dimension, in other words, has chosen to live out the rest of this life, or so far has made that choice because he or she can change their mind, has chosen to live out in the density field that contains polarities and limitation of certain kinds and contrast, like hot and cold, that are the primary ways of experiencing that dimension, third dimension, limitation, lack, contrast, polarities. Those are some of the hallmarks there. And that you yourself have chosen to essentially live out of fifth dimension, not as a limitation, but as a platform. So as you travel interdimensionally, you come back as your home base to fifth dimension, which is more about wishing and receiving and fluidity. So when you interact with your friend, it's not about better than. The fifth dimension is better than third dimension. And so you're just hoping they'll come up to the better place, which is what you have chosen. It really is a matter of free will. You've made one choice and your friend has made another one. At some point, it may become too incongruous, or you might just feel like being with them less. At some point, they may really need your help in the third dimensional sense, and you're happy to give that. But that long term, every day hanging out the way you used to, you feel it's more difficult to hold your own perspective that doesn't have that constraint of limitation. So it is important to notice the effect that you have on others or the effect that they have on you. And the effect that you have on others may be discomfort, again, because fifth dimension isn't about better than. For you, it's better than because it's your choice. That's what you want. But if you are coming from a certain perspective that's unrelatable to someone in third dimension, you may provoke discomfort the same way that they are provoking discomfort in you. So, in that sense, it's mutual. Maybe a little less time together. We still love one another, but we're not seeing eye to eye for some reason. And the reason is, although you probably won't articulate this to them, we're not in the same dimension. But fifth dimension is not a place of limitation. So we don't want to say to you, you are limited in third dimensional friends. Just witness what effect does it have on you? And how often do you want to dip down and visit there? Those friends, those dimensional ways, viewpoints. And you may want to have a checklist for yourself of certain ways that you may feel that are false when you return from a long visit, ways that you used to perceive the world or feel about the world. And okay, if I feel these things when I come back from my visit with my friend, maybe I want to meditate a bit more or raise my vibration or remind myself of my new viewpoints on life. Because this is where I want to live, not where they have chosen to live. So, a little bit like you have a friend who's in Cincinnati and you're in Minneapolis or somewhere else. You can't really be in both places at once, but you can visit. So, third and fifth dimension, you can visit back and forth. It's not incompatible to do so, but if you are essentially living and not visiting in the other place than where you live, that's what happens. You start to live there again. It does have an effect on you long term if you stay in third dimension quite a lot. So, something to witness. However, the door remains open, so we don't say that it's a warning or a danger because you don't get trapped. You finally rose up to fifth dimension, hurrah. But then you went out to lunch with a friend and you got trapped back in third dimension. No, it doesn't work like that. But you can get confused. You can get bogged down a bit by that way of perceiving. So good to make choices about who you're with and when and how often, just by noticing their effect on you and your effect on them. Are you causing them to get upset because they feel like your way of being is challenging who they are, even if you're not directly saying so much? So just notice, because if you're upsetting one another out of compassion, maybe good to take a bit of a break. But yes, you can travel back and forth as often as you like. The doors remain open to do so.